In today's video, I'll be talking about various types of media devices that were used back in the 1980s and 1990s. So these are some 3.5-inch floppy disks that I found at my parents' house. These are drivers which are in 3.5-inch disc format, as you can see. I also have some 5.25-inch floppy disks. As you can see, these are not used. I bought a lot of these back in the 1980s. I think I used this for my Apple IIc back in the day, back in the mid-1980s. They're still in pretty good condition. I haven't really used a lot of these. I did use some when I was programming in BASIC. I did save some of my work in some of these floppy disks. I think these are low density floppy disks. These are not the high density types. Called the MD2D, and they sold these in all kinds of places. They sold them in computer stores. I think sometimes grocery stores even had them. And if you went to like video stores or media stores where they sold records and stuff, I think they also sold floppy disks, like in Tower Records and stuff like that. And this is a 5.25-inch floppy disk drive. I used this in my, I think it was a 386SX. It was a leading technology 386SX, which I got back in fall of 1989. This is the only part of the computer that I saved from it. From the original computer, I think this is a pretty high quality device. I think back in the day it cost a lot of money. I think it was pretty high quality. That's the interface for it. It's a Chinon 5.25 floppy disk drive. It's got a Molex port right there. I think that's for the data. I think the data cable for the 5.25-inch floppy disk drive. I'd be very delicate with it. It's very, very old. I could still put in a disk in there, but I cannot use it because I don't have anything. Just went in like that. And one thing you never wanted to do with a floppy disk drive was take the disk out when the disk was running, because the heads were in contact with the disk, and that could cause a problem. So you only want to remove a floppy disk after it stopped reading or writing or whatever, and then you just ejected it, and that's it. You could use a mid-density 5.25-inch floppy disks on a high density 1.22 megabyte floppy disk drive. It's backwards compatible pretty much. I still do have some retro computers that have another thing. Before we had floppy disk drives, we had cassette drives. These were very, very slow. It was slow because you had to rewind the data. You had to get to the right track to use the program. That was very slow. You had to rewind, fast forward, and all that. But one advantage of using a tape drive was that it could hold a lot more memory than a floppy disk drive. That was one of the advantages of using it. And this is a 5.25-inch. I do have a 3.5 inch as well, which I will show you right now. And some other types of media things. This is a 3.5 inch high density floppy disk drive. This one is a Samsung. I think I salvaged it from an old Dell. I think it was Dimension or something. Maybe a 2400 or something like that. They were still using floppy disks back then. And then there's the eject button right there. That's how you take it out. It just goes in one way. I think this could hold about 1.44 megabytes worth of data. And this is I think this is an IDE interface for the floppy disk drive, and this is for the power for it. It doesn't use a Molex power cable like the 5.25 inch floppy disk drive. It's a little bit different. Still in good. I think this still works. This drive still does work. Let's see when it was made. What year it was made. Can't really see the small letters. My eyes are not very good anymore. I don't know, let's assume it was around 2001 or something. That's when the Dell Dimension 2400 came out. So back in the day, I used to use these discs kind of like how I use a USB flash drive today. This is what I use mostly to store stuff when I go to work and stuff like that. Or I use Google Drive as well. But sometimes I don't want to leave stuff on the cloud, so I use something like this and I take it to work. And I bring it back to work to do work on my computer, and I take it back to my work computer at work and put the work on there so I could take it home and do it on my home computer as well. So something like this is used very much today, but back in the day, back in the 1980s and 1990s, maybe even in the early 2000s, people would use 3.5 inch floppy disks. And there's something here, I think that's for copy protection or something. Here it is. Just press down on that. I think now it's write protected. And now if you put it up, it's not write protected. So that's how you would write protect your data if you had a floppy disk drive. They came in three types of formats, I think. The first one was 720 kilobytes or 0.720 megabytes. And then they came out with a high density, which was double the storage capacity of the regular floppy disk drive, which was 720 kbytes, and it became 1.44 megabytes. And they came out with another one called high density 2.88 megabytes. I never used the 2.88 floppy drive. And after the floppy drive, they came out with the CD-ROM drive. It is. This is an optical disc CD-ROM drive, as you can clearly see. This is a light-on CD-ROM drive. This was manufactured in November of 2004. So when I first got a CD-ROM drive, I think I got it for my I think it was a Pentium 100 megahertz computer. I think it was maybe 4X or something. Got it back in 1993 or 1994. And it came with a CD-ROM drive like this. This is probably much faster. This came out later. Maybe this is 32X or something, or 52X. But the early ones were not that fast. Maybe they were 1X, 2X, 4X, 8X, or 16X or something like that. And of course the interface in the back. You have Molex for the power. And you have, I think this is called an IDE interface. And back in the day you had to switch the jumper settings here. You could set it to a single drive. You could set it to slave drive, which was secondary, or cable select. Cable select, slave, and master. So master is on the right side, slave is in the middle, and all the way to the left is cable select. And there was some kind of an audio connector which connected to your motherboard or sound card or something. I think that would enable you to get CD music from the CD drive. We don't have that anymore. That doesn't exist anymore. Not as of today. And then after that, they came out with something called a zip drive, as you can see here. A zip drive could hold a lot more memory than a floppy disk drive. I think these could hold anywhere from 50 to maybe 600 megabytes worth of data. These were definitely not very fast. They were faster than a floppy drive, but they were definitely slower than a hard drive. This is another way people used to store data, and this type of disk is bigger than a 3.5 inch floppy disk drive. A floppy disk, not a disk drive. And again, you have to set the mode just like the CD-ROM drive here. You have master, slave, cable select, just like that. Different with the jumper. I think this is IDE. I'm not sure. Okay, that's IDE. Yeah, that's IDE. And that's Molex as well. Same thing like the CD-ROM drive. These were very popular in the not late 1990s, maybe mid 1990s. And of course the CD-ROM came out, and that kind of like replaced everything. CD-ROMs could hold about anywhere from 640 to 700 megabytes of data. And however, there was a problem with CD-ROM drives back in the day. They didn't have rewritable CD-ROM drives. They only had you could only write to it just once. That was the problem. But later on, they did come out with rewritable CD-ROM drives, which I did use to store data and stuff. But you could store data with this, but just make sure you have everything at one time when you copy all the stuff into it. That's what I used to do to store stuff in CD-ROM drives before they had flash drives like these. Now I just use the flash drive and I transfer it to my computer and I save it on a hard drive somewhere in my network. I don't have to keep like hundreds of CD-ROM drives. And after CD-ROM drive, they came out with a DVD media, which was about the same size as a compact disc, but it could hold more data. It could hold about maybe 4.3 gigabytes, which is almost 7 times more than a CD-ROM, or 6 times more. So this is a CD-ROM drive, DVD-ROM drive. This is a DVD-RW drive, so you can copy data to it. This has a SATA port. The one that I had back in the day had a EIDE port in the back. This is for the power for the SATA, and this is for the data cable for the SATA. And as you can see, for this type of drive, there is no jumper selection like the old one. As you can see, there's no jumper on the new one, on the new type of drives. No jumper settings, not at all. Very simple. And I did use DVD RW drives like this to store data, which was a lot better than using CD-ROM drives, because you had to just have a lot more of these, and you could have a lot less DVD drives basically to store stuff. So that's kind of like the evolution of storage devices in the computing world. We had many different types of storage devices, and today we just use stuff like solid state drives, like this flash drive here. This is mostly used to pretty much, well, it's convenient. It's much smaller than a flat floppy disk drive, as you can see. Look at the size of this, smaller than a cassette. It's definitely smaller than a 5.25 inch floppy disk. Definitely smaller than that if you look at it. And it just fits right in my pocket, just like that. Very simple. But these do fail as well. They fail. Every type of media device fails. So what I do is I always make a backup of all the stuff somewhere on a hard drive, just in case this does fail or this stops writing and reading or whatever. So I have a backup for this always. All the data, that is. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. If you have any thoughts or questions, you could leave it in the comment section below. Thanks for watching.